you guys doing? Anna Sabramowicz here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, today's message is about how every single e-learning project is a fresh start. What does that mean, Anna? All right, so recently I'm in a conversation with one of my students, and she's doing something brave. She's going out and becoming her own freelancer. She's been doing the work, kind of off and on for years, but now she's like pulled the trigger. She's like, I'm doing it. And the other part of that is creating and aggregating her pieces, some of her best pieces. And we were talking about some of her pieces in relationship to creating an interactive storytelling piece, right? And she's working on that, but she has a couple of these projects that are like quasi-aligned with scenarios. And she shared them with me, and she said, what do you think? Could I reuse these? And I was like, I bet you there's a lot of freelancers out there who are struggling with the same thing, who have done work in the past that it's not representative of who they are right now, but they've invested so much time in it. You're like, could I use this? Could I revamp this to make it align with my vision now? And here's what I got to tell you. I'm going to share a little story with you first. So, by the way, before I forget, go to elearningsecrets.com, sign up for that webinar. It's going to be awesome, all right? And there is limited seating, so there's some instructions there to make sure you show up and get a seat. So, but it is a webinar. It's not a live seat thing. Anyways, so I don't know if you know this, and there, once in a while these kind of stories will come around where you have like somebody like Van Gogh or Degas and the painters, and they'll do some sort of like an analysis on the paint as they're either trying to like update it or refresh the colors, but they'll sometimes find a picture painted underneath and they'll reconstruct it for us. And it's kind of funny because when I see those things, I'm like, that was somebody's draft, or that was somebody's painting that they were like, no. You know how sometimes you put a painting away and come back to it, and then you look at it and you see how you can enhance it. Well, I'm thinking sometimes those guys were like, started something and then they were like, it's not working for me. It's not me anymore. I have a different message. I have a different vision I want to share with the world. I lost that one. So what do? They take that canvas and throw away the canvas because canvases are expensive. They take that canvas and they paint all over it. A brand new, beautiful masterpiece that we then pay $300 million for. So, what does that have to do with you? Why am I telling you this? Are you Michelangelo? Well, kinda. You have a canvas, it's called software. So, what do? We have this fabulous tool. We don't throw it out, but sometimes what you have to do is you have to actually just say, you know what? I now know some things that are better. I now have experimented, and that is no longer me. That is no longer working for me. So what you got to do is almost say, I now know storytelling. I now know that I need to talk to practitioners. I now know that I need to make it activity-based for it to be engaging. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that darling go. Just going to wipe that slate clean, and I'm going to start from now, what I know now, with all these resources still available to me, with the ability to go back and check on that info, but start from the place where you are now, which is awesome. Like, you still have those lessons, you still have that stuff, but I don't know if I said this before, but it's called killing your darlings, and I learned that from Stephen King. Because Stephen King said, as a creative, and I think we're all in that boat, we'll see something, we're like, oh, that's a great idea. Ooh. Or, well, as somebody who works in this industry and creates pieces, I bet you have pieces, right? And you're like, oh, I made that, or I started that interaction, that was going to be fun, or that was going to be a cool scenario. And you have these darlings. Now, the worst is to have a darling that you've put a lot of time into. Because then there's this psychological thing that happens to us, and I forget the name of it, so if you can deduce what it is from what I'm telling you, then do post it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But it's this thing where you've, I think it's called like sunk cost or something, where you're basically, because you've spent so much time on something, you build up its value and you no longer want to let it go. That's why a lot of our projects are kind of flop because we invest so much time up front without letting other people see them. So we kind of invest way too much time up front into their design and basically are crushed if somebody gives us any feedback, because that's our baby, right? That's our darling. So what I suggest is, let it go. Say, put it on the back shelf. It's been sitting there for a while. It's not going to go anywhere. But start fresh. Start with the new you, the new vision. Because if you're trying to make the new story, the new scenario, the new vision, the new transformation for your learner fit through that old paradigm that you were when you created that, it's probably going to hold you back, and you're never going to create the masterpiece because you keep on looking at the old painting and trying to make that painting the new painting, which it is not. It is a snapshot in time of your skill set at that point. Now you have a new one. Let go of the darlings. Start with that new foundation that you have. And I think that'll be helpful for you. Now, if you did find this helpful, I'd love it if you like the video, because then it just brings me up the line and shares a good message. Make sure that I beat out all the other kitty videos that are out there, right? And then if you get a chance, elearningsecrets.com, sign up for that webinar. I'd love to see you there live. That'd be so fun. And then if you have ever had a project that has held you back because it's there and you've sunk all that time into it, let me know about that too. It's kind of interesting. It's a mindset that you have to build up in yourself. Because let me tell you this: have you ever walked into a movie theater? You bought your ticket, walked into the movie theater and sat there, and after the first 15 minutes, you realize this movie is terrible. What did you do? Are you the kind of person who said, spent the money, might as well finish watching it? And then basically that's your time now being given up. You've paid to watch a terrible movie, and now you're wasting your time doing that while you could just go leave and watch another movie. While some people actually think about it that way. They'll say, hey, this is my time. I paid for it. Yeah, I know. But now I'm paying even more for it by sticking around watching a terrible movie. I'm just going to walk out of the theater. It's difficult. I'm not saying this is easy, because that's hard to do. I've sat through some terrible movies because I paid. But how much are you paying to be looking back all the time instead of looking forward? So I hope that just inspires you and kind of turns some wheels. Maybe it's a different perspective that you maybe needed today on hump day. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here, sticking around, visiting. And if you have any questions, let me know. I do love reading all of your comments. And to some of them, I actually reply by recording something. All right, have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks so much. Take care.